Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you know, Modern Monday here in Instant Deck Tech Land, and we have a super awesomely spicy list today. This is Enduring Ideal. Recently took Shane Morris to a top 8 finish at a SCG Modern IQ, so big congrats to Shane on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, Enduring Ideal is kind of an enchantressy white prison deck built around a really weird card, Enduring Ideal. So back in Kamigawa, Wizards made this crazy mechanic called Epic, and basically what Epic does is when you cast an Epic spell, for the rest of the game you can't cast anything. No more spells you can cast for the rest of the game, but you get to copy your Epic spell every upkeep for the rest of the game. So basically, you give up your ability to cast spells, but instead you get this one spell every turn once a turn. So Enduring Ideal itself is 7 mana, and it allows you to search your library for an enchantment and put it directly into play. So the idea of this deck is you are going to kind of control the opponent, keep them from killing you in the early game, maybe ramp into an Enduring Ideal, you cast it, and then you put together the right enchantment pieces, tutoring them right out of your deck. So every turn you're adding an enchantment to your board, and you use these enchantments to finish out the game. So after you get your Enduring Ideal, and remember, your opponent's still casting spells, still trying to disrupt you, usually step 1 is going to be to protect your enchantments. So you can search up something like Greater Oromancy to protect your enchantments from targeted removal. Also some other options. Dovescape kind of does double duty. It protects your enchantments because it counters any non-creature spell that anyone would play, and instead it gives that player a bunch of doves equal to the spell's converted mana cost, which really isn't a big deal. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Leyline of Sanctity and Phyrexian Unlife protect you from burn spells primarily, things that would target you and kill you that way. So you get these down, your opponent can't lightning bolt your face. Phyrexian Unlife essentially gains you 10 plus life because you don't die at 0 life, instead damage turns into infect damage. So you get these down, you really want to pillow fort yourself up very hardcore before you go to the win. That's kind of the way it works. Enduring Ideal, you don't just go, okay, I'm going to win the game. You go, alright, I'm going to make sure there's no possible way I can lose the game, and then you eventually finish the game. As far as creatures, there's a bunch of options. Porphyry Nodes kills creatures every turn. Ghostly Prison and Sphere of Safety keep creatures from attacking you. Sphere of Safety is mostly an Enduring Ideal target. You'll tutor it up, and it just kind of locks creatures all together. It's going to cost like 8, 10 mana to attack with one. Ghostly Prison and Porphyry Nodes, you want to cast these in the early game to help you stay alive while you're setting up your Enduring Ideal, and then you can tutor them out if you need even more protection. And these cards, especially Ghostly Prison and Sphere of Safety, is why we don't really care about the opponent making a ton of doves. If they're going to spend 10 mana to attack with a single 1/1, they're probably not going to win them the game. And then we have just a bunch of removal spells that can deal with creatures, also sometimes planeswalkers, other permanents. Oblivion Ring can hit anything. Prison Term is like a pacifism, but you can move it around whenever a creature enters the battlefield. You can put it on that creature, so you can put it on a relatively poor creature to begin with, move it over to something more powerful once your opponent casts it and it enters the battlefield. Ruined Halo is really interesting. It's a card that can protect you from a Tarmogoyf or from a Lightning Bolt, so it kind of gets a little bit of everything. Gives you protection from a named card, so if you name Goyf, you can't take creature damage from Goyf. If you name Bolt, your opponent can't target you with Bolt. Path to Exile, not an enchantment, just really efficient removal. And then we get to the finishers. So for finishing the game, and like I said before, remember, if you play this deck, lock it up first. Make sure your opponent can't attack you. Get a Leyline of Sanctity. Get your Dovescape. Get things down so your opponent can't kill you. And then, after you feel like you have things pretty much locked up, then you search out your game-winning enchantments. So Form of the Dragon is the primary finisher. At the beginning of your upkeep, deals 5 damage to something. At the beginning of your end step, your life total goes to 5. Doesn't really matter because, like I said, you're going to have the game kind of locked up by the time you search it out anyway. So over the course of 3 or 4 turns, you just 5 your opponent, 5 your opponent, 5 your opponent, win the game. Heloid, God of the Sun, is a way you can make a bunch of tokens, win that way. Also a 5/6 because it'll almost always be in creature form. And Luminarch Ascension takes advantage of the fact that once you get things locked up, it's going to be super hard for your opponent to deal damage to you, so you just wait a few turns, get some counters on it, then make a bunch of angels to win. The rest of the main deck, Suppression Field, enchantment that fights against activated abilities, mostly fetch lands. It costs 2 mana to sack a fetch. This deck doesn't play fetches, so it slows down the opponent. Peace of Mind gives you a way to gain a bit of life. As far as the mana base, Mistfall Plains is cool because if you play whatever, Ghostly Prison, in the early game your opponent kills it with Abrupt Decay, you can always put it back on the bottom of your library and then tutor it up with your Enduring Ideal. So it's a way to get back enchantments that have died. Nykthos is the primary way the deck can ramp into the Enduring Ideal early, get a bunch of white enchantments, taps for like 4 or 5 mana, a couple turns early on your Enduring Ideal. Flagstones, kind of a free roll, so you can kind of legendary yourself, thin your deck a bit, and a Temple of Triumph just for scrying purposes, no real red mana plays. And then just 10 planes. As far as the sideboard, Boseiju and Defense Grid, make sure that you can resolve your Enduring Ideal. And then Pithing Needle deals with Oblivion Stones, things that could sit on the battlefield and ruin your plans, and Nahiri sitting out there exiling your enchantments. And then a bunch of hateful enchantments, Rest in Peace for Dredge and Snapcasters, Stony Silence for Affinity and Tron, Rule of Law for Stormy, big turn decks, Story Circle shuts down a color, Sanctimony, amazing against burn decks, gains you a bunch of life when opponents tap mountains, another Greater Oromancy, and an Indestructibility for more protection, and then just an all-purpose Oblivion Ring. And that is Enduring Ideal for Modern, and that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.